In this video, we will learn how to perform quick data analysis and feature engineering steps for my loan default prediction problem. And once that gets completed, then probably we'll go to model training. So now let's start. Here we are just importing different packages which we would be using for different type of activities. So here you can see that I have imported pandas and numpy for data analysis work. And similarly for machine learning activities, I have imported sklearn package. For visualization, I have imported matplotlib and seaborn. And for AWS interaction, I have added Boto3 Python package. Okay. And here I am just printing out the package version which I am using for my model training activity so that I can use the same version as a part of model serving. Right. So we can either take those version directly from requirement.txt file, but it's good way of just adding the package version inside your Jupyter notebook or wherever you are performing your training activity. Okay. Next we'll load the data. I will just execute it, run it. Okay. And now we'll load the data. So you can see that my training data contains close to 233,000 rows and we have 41 features. And in loan data, we have close to 112,000 samples and 40 features. In loan data set, we have one more feature because that's the target variable we're talking about. That's why you can see a difference of 1. So this is the target column which we need to predict loan default, and the value can be 0 or 1. So 0 means not a default, 1 means it's a default. Okay. And if you see the distribution of 0 and 1 in the training data, you can see that non-default has a percent of 78.29 and default has distribution of 21%. Right, so that which looks okay. And after that, I mean, just look for different columns. So whatever columns we have in my training data, so just form it, run it, and you can see that it has different columns, right? So disbursed amount, asset code, LTV. So here you need to understand the business meaning of each and every field so that you can make a decision on what type of columns that is and what its meaning from business perspective, because that would be very handy during your feature cleaning or feature transformation activity, and we'll see those work in this notebook. And now we are simply describing the content of data. We are just exploring the statistical properties of my data. So that's a quick way of identifying whether my data has any outlier or not, because that would be a very handy way of performing a quick data analysis. Right. So here you can see that it has good amount of details, and just look for those details and just try to find out whether we have any obvious observation with respect to outlier, or whether we have any deviation in terms of mean of value, right? So, and also that will help you in understanding whether my training and test data differs, or the statistical properties for both train and test data falls in similar range, right? Because if that's not the case, then probably we don't have correct amount of data, or data is not representative, right? So we need to make that data appropriate so that it's in line with what we are going to receive as a part of testing or as a part of real world traffic, So that is very, very important, right? Otherwise, once your model would be deployed in production, it will not behave as expected. Okay. And now we'll quickly perform the data type analysis. What type of data it has, and you can see that we have a mix of int, float, and object category. And if you look at that date of birth, so take an example, date of birth. Date of birth has been defined as object. But if you look the date of birth field, it looks like a date time field. Look date of birth. Yeah. It's not a string representation. It has, we need to infer that column as date time. Right. So in this way, you can simply explore all the fields. What type of fields we have, what data type it contains, and whether we have any business significance in terms of keeping the data type as same or not. So take an example of manufacturer ID, which has been defined as int. And here you need to understand whether manufacturer ID is really an int or that's a unique representation for all the manufacturer defined as an integer value. So you can decide whether we need to convert that data into categorical or you need to keep that variable in int, right? So those sort of understanding you need to build, and probably we can try different approaches to see which works well for my problem, right? So here you can see that manufacturer ID has 14 unique values, right? So it makes much more sense to define this as categorical, right? Because machine learning model works differently based on how you have defined your data, whether it's a numeric, the behavior would be different. And if that field has been defined as categorical, the behavior would be different. So those sort of decisions you need to take. And if you cannot take upfront decision, then probably you need to try different approaches to find out which approach works best in my scenario, right? So that's why when we discuss about the significance of each and every field, we need to get those clarified from your business counterparts or from the owner of that data, who would be able to provide much more details around data and its type, and how that will impact the overall system. Okay. I have also performed a quick missing value analysis. So you can see that employee type contains close to 7,661 missing values. And probably we need to import that value in some way, right? And all the other fields look okay. And here I have simply identified what are the different unique values we'll have for each and every field. And that in that way you can find out which uh, columns has very high dimensional definition in from categorical perspective, and whether it makes sense to use those as a categorical variable or you need to leave that column as it is in int, right? So that sort of analysis we need to perform, and based on this analysis I have identified certain columns as categorical. So you will see that decision below, but that decision can vary depending upon your understanding about your problem statement and your understanding about the data, right? So those comes as a part of your exploration. Nothing is fixed and it will always vary depending upon your interpretation or about data, and what works well depending upon your experimentation. Okay. And next I have simply checked the disbursement date distribution. So you can see that training data has distribution from this to this, and you can see that the dates are different in both training and test. So you can see that it's clearly separated. So we don't have overlap between training and test. So training data contains data till 31st of October, and my testing data starts from 3rd of November from the disbursement date perspective. So which looks like a clear-cut separation between train and test. And we need to build a very robust model based on training data so that it would act correctly on the test data from the default loan rate prediction perspective. After that, I have performed a quick correlation analysis. Right, so here I have extracted all the numeric values based on my understanding about the data. I have taken all those numeric values and I have performed a simple correlation map using Seaborn package. And here you will find out some interesting pattern. And if you look closely to the value this prime sanction amount and prime disbursed amount, so this looks like very correlated features, and probably we can remove one of these features from our training feature list because it's correlated and it doesn't make sense to keep all those variables because these variables are correlated and provide same set of information to the model. Okay, and here also we have three different fields which are also correlated with each other, right? So we can remove some of those fields so that we can have only single source of information for model to identify that as a valid feature. Otherwise it would be correlated and your model performance will be impacted, right? So that's what I have done as a part of my feature selection part. So if you look the feature selection part, I have excluded these three correlated features from my training feature list, right? So these are highly correlated, so I have removed these fields, right? So take an example, primary sanction amount. So primary sanction amount, I have taken it from here. Primary sanction amount is highly correlated with primary disbursed amount. So I have kept primary disbursed amount and I have removed primary sanction amount, right? So just remove one, keep other. That's the purpose of feature elimination. And similarly for secondary current balance and secondary sanction amount, I have removed the other and I have kept the other fields. And loan default, I have removed it because this is a target variable and we don't need to use that as a part of training feature. The other part which I have done, I have removed the unique ID, which is a simple a unique value and does not have any useful feature. I mean, that's not a predictive features because we don't have any variance in that data. It's unique for everyone. Okay, so that's from the exclude feature perspective, and that is only done based on simple data analysis part. Nothing fancy about the feature selection part. Just I have done simple quick data analysis, and based on that data analysis, I have eliminated some of the features which are not useful. And then I have defined categorical columns based on my interpretation about the data. So here is a list of all those columns which can be defined as categorical, right? So that's what I have done as a part of this. So once that is done, we'll perform some feature engineering part, right? And if we look data carefully about two fields, mainly this field, account average age and credit history length. So we will find that it has some unique representation for reporting account average account age, and we need to somehow convert it into numeric representation so that we can pass this value to my machine learning model because these are useful informations, but that information is not fit for purpose from the machine learning perspective, right? And similarly for the credit history length, we have data but it's not clean. Okay, and we will use the date field, different date field, to extract relevant values as a part of feature engineering, right? So here I'm performing some activity based on date, right? So from date I would be extracting day, month, year, right? So that's what I'm doing here as a part of date based feature. So first I'm converting that date date of birth feature to date time format, because initially it was defined as object, and that's what I have done here. If you'll see, date of birth field has been defined as object, and using object we cannot extract day, month or year value, right? So in order to extract those value, first we need to convert it to date time format, and that's what I have done here. Okay, I have converted that to date time format, and then using the date time extraction process I have extracted day, month and year using this function. Okay, and similarly for disbursal rate date, I have extracted date, and I have calculated the age of customer. So I have calculated age of customer based on the date of birth and the day on which disbursement happened. So I have just subtracted that value to calculate the age of the client at the time of disbursement. And from that field, I have extracted days. So after performing all those feature engineering, we need to remove the original column, right? Because it doesn't make sense to keep those variable as it is. And as we have already extracted relevant features from my date column, so remove it. Otherwise, it will create a drift in your data, right? Because disbursement rate, we have seen that it varies in both training and test, right? So the distribution is not same. So we cannot keep that data within my model training activity. Okay, so that's what I have done here as a part of removal. So that is based on database, and similarly we can perform some cleaning activity based on account. So we have seen that average account age and credit history length. So the value of these fields are not fit for purpose from machine learning perspective, and that's why we are extracting years and months from that column, and we are converting everything in the months, right? So here what I'm doing, I am simply splitting that data based on this apply function, apply, and then performing a simple function to split that data based on spaces, and I'm taking the first part. So the first part is year. So if you look carefully, the first part is year, and the second part is month. So we are simply extracting 0 0. So like this, here 1 year and 11. So this would be converted to 1 year would be 12 months plus 11. So the outcome of this would be 31 months. So in this way we'll generate a new feature. So here if you'll see, I am performing the same activity. So after splitting, I am taking the first index, which will contain the year part, and I will simply replace the years with spaces so that I can multiply it by 12 to convert that value to months, and then we will be adding that with the second part of the split, so which contains my month, and simply I'm adding it. So, after performing that cleaning activity, the average account age will have numeric representation in terms of months, and similarly for credit history will have value in terms of months. That's what I have done here. And after performing those activity, you can remove the original column name, right? Because that's not relevant, and we have generated new feature based on this feature transformation. So that's exactly what we have done as a part of feature engineering. We have just generated a couple of new features based on the existing fields. I've done some cleaning activity to generate some numeric features, and then we will be performing the, and I have added all these feature engineering steps within a class, right? So that we can reuse this functionality wherever it's required. So I'm performing the, this operation based on train and test. So here that's what I'm doing. So I'm initiating it, and I'm performing this date based feature operation and then account based feature operation, right? So these would be performed against train and test data in this as a part of this step. Once that is done, we are creating training and validation set separately, right? So here what I'm doing, I'm first generating a training features. So as a part of training features, it would it will exclude all the features which we have done as a part of feature selection part. So it will not include those features. So that's what I have done here. So it will take my training column, but it will not consider if that feature column exists within the exclude features. So training feature will not contain those values. And after extracting the training features, we would be generating different training and test data sets based on only, which will contain only training data which belongs to my training feature, right? That's what these two steps will do. And here I am just taking target value in different variable. So target will contain only the target outcome. And here we are simply splitting my data based on train test split, and the my validation data will have 20% of the data. Okay. And here I have kept the randomization because keeping this value as 0 will make sure that whenever you will perform this activity, you will get the exactly the same split, and you will be able to reproduce your test results. That's the purpose of adding random state here. So after training test split, we'll perform a label encoding. And important thing here is to note that label encoding would only be done based on your training data. You will not include your validation data or test data for any sort of label encoding. So perform label encoding or any encoding only based on training data. So that's what I have done here. So I am calling this function perform label encoding and passing train x, which we have got it from here, validation x, which we have got from the split, and the test CV, we are taking the entire test dataset and we are passing the categorical column. So categorical column, we have taken it from here. Okay. And we are passing this value to perform label encoding function, and within that I am performing a fit operation only on the training data. You can see it from here, only for training data. And before that I'm just converting that data to categorical, right? Because some of the categorical columns are not defined as category, so I'm just converting the data type for all the categorical column to category before performing the label encoding. Okay. And once my label encoding training has been done, we will be transforming that data so that we can get the numeric representation for all the categorical features, right? So here I'm doing the training validation test, and I'm returning that value so that we can store those value within this variable train x, val x, train cv, and label. Okay. So before going further, we also need to do some imputation activity because we have seen some missing value as a part of data analysis. So here for imputation, I am simply populating it with -1 and just a default. I am not using any fancy imputation activity. You can try out different approach, but for this demo, I am using a very simple approach and populating all the missing values by -1.